Hey, top of the morning, everybody. Welcome to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings. I am Emerson Lotzia. No NFL, no NBA. Major League Baseball continues to dig its own grave. It's a Christmas miracle we're even able to fill the next 55 minutes, but a large portion of that will be spent talking college basketball, the Florida swing, teeing off on the PGA Tour, and a recap of Friday's Jeff Ulrich NBA and NASCAR special. And speaking of our DraftKings Swiss Army knife, he's standing by to talk about what's cooking on this 5-game NHL slate, along with RotoWire's Paul Bruno. It is a slate, guys, that gets going at 1 o'clock Eastern time because of a couple President's Day matinees here in the United States. But starting in DFS, who is your favorite center tonight, Paul?
Well, it's Family Day here in Canada, too, so we got a holiday here as well. And I'm going to tee up my lineup with Austin Matthews against Montreal. He loves playing against the Canadians as long as it's not a playoff series. He kills them in the regular season, so I'm all over the $9,200 price tag for him. And Elias Lindholm has been on fire in the middle of the hottest line in hockey for Calgary, so that's a solid play against Edmonton and a rivalry matchup there for $7,500, a tasty value as well. Sebastian Aho might have the best value of all centers, though. $7,000 for Carolina's number one guy. It looks like a points night against Philadelphia in one of the early matchups here today. That looks like the best matchup to me on the board.
All right, Jeff, what do you want here, dude? Center.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Leafs have a 4.4 implied goal total today. So, I mean, I actually think that you should be thinking about like their entire lineup. I mean, this is one of the biggest goal totals, like just in terms of one team total that we've seen all season. I think John Tavares is actually really interesting at 7,300, just as more of like a game theory play. I mean, maybe you play him with Austin Matthews, but both the Leafs center certainly should be worthy of your consideration for daily fantasy hockey purposes. I would tend to agree with what Paul brought up, though, with Sebastian Aho. I think that, like, from a pure value standpoint, if you're paying up for someone, I mean, look, he's playing the Flyers, so we can sit here and you know, suggest that Montreal is terrible and that they're a great matchup, and they are. But, like, the Flyers are pretty much on par with the Canadians in a lot of defensive metrics. So I think Sebastian Aho at 7,000, I mean, especially with everybody likely piling on the Leafs here, with the Colorado centers in play, I think Aho's got a good chance of just being like not too heavily owned. And on a 5-game slate, like your rosters will appreciate that 7K salary. So he's probably my top play overall.
Hey, Paul, best winger on the slate is who and why?
Well, it's Mitch Marner on the right wing for Austin Matthews. That matchup against Montreal, we're gonna be all over that today. I can tell. Jeff and I are in sync. $8,400 the price tag. Marner's getting almost 2 points a game in his last 10 starts, so I love that one. And then Johnny Gaudreau, right with him, 12 points in his last 10 games played, 30 shots on goal for Calgary. It's the Battle of Alberta today. That always spikes value and interest in this game. $7,900 the price tag there. Andrei Svechnikov, though, back to the Carolina roster. He's got that matchup against Philadelphia. I think it's a day when you can try and stack at least 2/3 of that line. $6,500 the price tag there for a guy who's got 8 goals and 38 shots on goal in his last 10 games played. Also playing on the top power play, which should have a field day today.
All right, Jeff, anyone going to have a field day, in your opinion, at wing?
Yeah, I mean, again, like they're just taking the same idea that I did at center. I mean, I kind of like William Nylander today at 6,700, just for the simple fact that, you know, a lot of people will be paying up for Marner or Matthews, but if you target that Leafs second line, I mean, you know, you're going to get a lot lower rostership. And look, Nylander and Tavares, they play together just like Marner and Matthews do. They're featured on the power play one. They play all their minutes at even strength. So I like William Nylander in that spot at 6,700, and I really like the guy underneath him, Svechnikov. Again, I mean, this Carolina, Philly, Toronto, Montreal. I mean, you know who the good teams are here. It's not like a big mystery. Svechnikov is a guy who just, you know, his upside at this price is pretty much unmatched. All you have to do is go to his DraftKings sports card, or his player card, 21 or more DK fantasy points in 4 of his last 6 games. That is the kind of upside he brings. And at 6,500, just like Aho, he's underpriced here. So you've really got to go heavy, in my opinion, on a couple of the Hurricanes and Leafs here. They're good value for a lot of them, and you can still pay up for other stars from other games. But I think for stacking purposes, you got to look at those Leafs top 2 lines and definitely the big guys on Carolina.
Ulrich, what about a defenseman who tickles your fancy? Hook us up.
I really like Mark Giordano today. I mean, the Seattle Kraken, obviously, they're not an offensive powerhouse. They really don't have a great power play, but Giordano has been back and healthy, and he's been featured on the power play one for them of late, and it's been clicking a little bit. He's got 3 power play assists over his last 10 games. He's got 3 points in his last 4 games period. He's just been more productive. He's been more like the Mark Giordano we knew from a couple years ago, where the guy is just blocking a ton of shots, getting a ton of shots on goal. He's averaging 4.6 shots on goal and block shots over his last 10 games. He's got a great matchup against Vancouver. I actually like the Kraken today to potentially pull off the upset. They've been playing a little bit better, getting better goaltending, but Giordano especially is in a great spot. This is the worst penalty kill in the league in the Vancouver Canucks. They're operating under a 70% efficiency rate. I think this is a great price for Mark Giordano at 5,400. He's my favorite defenseman for sure.
By the way, Kraken plus 140 on the money line on the DK Sportsbook. Paul, defenseman, who tickles your fancy?
Well, if you're going to look at the 3 games that I've been hammering, I think the top defenseman in each of those winning sides or projected winning sides makes sense. The Morgan Riley, $6,300, the most expensive of all 3 that I'm going to highlight. 28 shots on goal in his last 10 games played, and he's been a centerpiece to this Leaf offense for the last 2 months. Tony Deangelo has the same profile in Carolina, and he's on a bit of a hot streak as well of late. $6,100 his price tag, and he adds to 23 shots on goal and 14 blocks in his last 10 games played. But the best value, I think, among the top defensemen is Rasmus Andersson for Calgary. He's really emerged as their top scoring defenseman, $5,300 the price tag, and 22 shots on goal, as well as 11 blocks. This guy's doing it at both ends of the ice.
Best NHL value play in DFS. Who you rolling with, Paul?
Well, I like Andrew Mangiapane. He's rediscovered a scoring touch, and he's over 20 goals on the season. And nobody's talking about him on Calgary because everybody's focused on the big line. But he comes in at $4,900 and looks like a real good value play, as well as playing top 6 minutes and top power play minutes as well. Nick Suzuki in a bit of a contrarian play against the Leafs today. He always shows up against Toronto. And I think he's going to get a lot of time on the power play, top unit, and top line at center. $4,500, very cheap price tag for a guy with that profile. It's because the team is not scoring, but he'll show up today, I think. And Elias Patterson, $4,400 despite picking up 11 points in his last 10 games. I think he's got his offense in gear finally, averaging 10.9 DraftKings points per game, and I think that's his floor today.
Hey, Jeff, who are you looking at for some value?
Yeah, I like Pedersen as well on Seattle. I mean, I just think with the price at whatever he's at there, 4,400, excuse me. I mean, going up against Seattle, I don't mind Seattle, but I mean, there's still a very good matchup for opposing offenses. And Pedersen's just, he's just been a little bit better. The heat has been off him a little bit. He's not necessarily has to carry the team, but I mean, 3 goals in his last 5 games. Paul mentioned, the offensive production has been there a lot more lately. I think him at 4,400 is like, he is much like Tavares and Nylander, targeting that Vancouver second line might just give you a little bit more of a unique build today. And I think you can go over to the other side though with the Kraken. I mean, I think Calle Jarnkrok at 3,700 is a very good play as well. Like, it's top power play minutes. I mentioned this Vancouver power play, and Jarnkrok's got 3 goals in his last 5 games as well. So I think there's really good value with the top liners for Seattle today. I don't say that very often, but Jarnkrok is definitely one of my favorite. And you can pair him with Giordano. That's a great, little mini power play stack for Seattle tonight.
Let's move over to the DraftKings Sportsbook here, dudes. Jeff, what's a game total you're targeting?
Yeah, I'm going to target the over in this Winnipeg Calgary Flames game. I mean, like the Flames, everyone's just kind of waiting for them to cool off. But I mean, I don't really know what the point is here. You just keep playing the overs on this team until they put up a couple stinkers. But I mean, the Jets have played a little bit better of late, but it's not been because of their defense or their goaltending. I mean, they've still allowed 3 or more goals in each of their last 4 games. And I just don't see this team having anyone like the horses on the back end to really slow down this Flames team at all, who, Paul said, like, Mangiapane just rediscovered his scoring touch. Now they've added Tyler Toffoli. This is just going to be too much for the Jets. But the Jets could certainly keep up in a shootout. Like I said, their offense has been a lot better of late. I'm actually surprised this total is still at 6. I'll take the over there, even if it's at minus 115.
All right, Paul, what do you want here, dude?
I'm going to go to the Leafs and Canadians. I don't see how the Canadians keep the Leafs offense under wraps. The line that I'm looking at is the alternate total goal line, and the Leafs could almost reach it by themselves. So I'm saying go for the plus 7.5 total for a plus 220 payoff. I think Winnipeg and Calgary will combine in a big shootout as well. So go to the alternate for 6.5 goals plus for 115 payoff. Carolina at Philadelphia also going to be a big scoring game. 7.5 is the over-under that I'm targeting to go over for a plus 220 payoff there.
All right, Jeff, talking money line or puck line here. I know you mentioned the Kraken. You like the Kraken for the upset. Is that where you're going?
I do. I mean, I'm going to go there at the start. I mean, I'd like a little bit bigger line than plus 140, but I think there's something built into this plus 140 line. I mean, I think it's the fact that, you know, the Kraken have looked okay of late, and the Canucks really haven't. The Canucks have allowed 22 goals over their last 4 games. They got plastered by the Islanders at home. They got plastered by the Ducks their last time at home. Like, they really just haven't played well of late. And I think some of those cracks that I mentioned, you know, the special teams, just the defense starting to show. The Kraken have played a little bit better recently. You know, they played the Flames really close. Philip Grubauer, I think, is the main reason I want the Kraken here. He's looked okay in his last couple starts. I do expect him to get the start tonight. That's not guaranteed, but you know, the Canucks were kind of riding some hot goaltending of their own from Thatcher Demko. He's really cooled off, and they don't really have a capable backup right now to turn to. So I think the Kraken may actually, for once, have the edge in net. Their offense has looked a little bit better. They got Giordano working back there. At plus 140, I'm in. I mean, I just don't have that much respect for the Canucks, even if you don't think this line is big enough. I also don't even really mind the over in this one. Again, the Canucks have just been seething goals, you know, allowing goals at an obscene rate here over the last few games, excuse me. So the over 5.5 is interesting, but I definitely like the Kraken. It's my favorite, you know, underdog money line at plus 140.
All right, what do you like here in this department, Paul?
I like this, everything that Jeff said, but I don't like any of the other values that are on the favorites in the other games. If you have to go that route, I say Carolina and Calgary are both worth the plus 110, giving up a goal and a half there, but I'm really not too interested in those lines. I think there's lots more value to make other bets that we'll get to shortly.
Okay, cool. Maybe it's like right now. How about like a slate approved pick here, bud? Favorite bet on the board, Paul?
Absolutely. I'm looking for points night here to happen for the Leafs in Montreal. Matthews and Marner each a good value to get at least 1.5 points. So call for them for each to get 2 points. The payoff for Matthews is plus 135, Marner plus 145. I should also mention that in the last 15 years, when I haven't been in Montreal, the Leafs have a 75% win percentage. So that's good value. I'm not going there tonight. Johnny Gaudreau plus 150 for his effort to get 2 points tonight. I think that's a lock as well. And then team goals in regulation. I like a couple of these. I think Jeff touched on one. Toronto's going to have an easy time getting over the 4.5 goal prop for plus 145 payoff, I think. And same for Carolina with a plus 200 payoff if they get over 4.5 goals tonight too.
Jeff, hook me up with your favorite bet on the board.
Yeah, Paul's just building suspense there. I know his deal. I know what he was doing.
Yep.
He's trying to get to the good stuff. I got some good stuff too. Let's go to the player props. I mean, I mentioned, you know, Paul didn't like too many lines. I honestly didn't like too many of the lines either. I don't mind the Kraken, but I'm not too big on anyone else on the lines and the money lines and stuff. So I found one that I really like. Austin Matthews to score an assist tonight is only minus 120. Dude's got 10 assists in his last 10 games. He's averaging an assist per game. And like I mentioned, the Maple Leafs are playing the Canadiens. They have a 4.4 implied team total. You know, we've already gone over the fact Matthews loves to beat up on Montreal, but at minus 120, I mean, this line is kind of shocking to me. I know Matthews is more of a goal scorer, but he's been playmaking a little bit more of late. These ones just look out of whack. So Austin Matthews, minus 120 to get out of assist. And then my guy, again, Mark Giordano, I'm going all in on Gio this tonight. He's plus 130 just to grab a point. The worst penalty kill in the league. If I think the Seattle Kraken have 3 or 4 goals in them tonight to grab the upset, I got to grab that at plus 130. You can also grab Giordano at plus 295 to score a point on the power play tonight, which I do not hate. I think those odds are juicy enough to do that.
Hockey dudes, that was phenomenal. Paul, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your daughter's farm. Jeff, we will see you back here for a happy Honda Classic conversation right after Ben Ross stops by to give us his best bets around college basketball. There is just 1 week left in the worst month of the year, meaning the NCAA tournament is getting closer and March Madness is right around the corner. And so is Susan from accounting down the hall from you winning your office pool. Awesemo.com's Ben Rasa is in the house to share some of his best college basketball bets. We got 3 ranked teams on the slate tonight here, big guy. Let's start with Indiana visiting Ohio State. Buckeyes 6-point favorite, 135.5 point total. Where are you looking to target? What are you looking to target in this game?
Yeah, the Big Ten's been tough all year. A lot of parity. So I'm gonna kind of use that to my advantage. You know, we just saw Ohio State. They got shellacked at home by Iowa. I think it's a close game. Indiana's had some struggles. There's no doubt about it. They're gonna give me 6.5 out there. I'm gonna take the points with the Hoosiers. I think it's a competitive game if they can neutralize the front court of Ohio State and stay out of foul trouble. I think Indiana, I'm not going to call for the upset, but I will call for them to keep it close enough to cover the spread.
I like it. They got Ohio State, right? Back in early January. That was, oh man, they beat them by like 16. And they didn't make anything from 3. They were 2 of 15 in that game. So I like your mindset. I really like you, Ben. You're a good dude.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here to do. We're going to get on a run leading up to March. That is the goal.
All right, let's go. Let's see where you go this next one here. Number 7, Baylor on the road, creeping closer to the top seed in the Big 12. So 5-point favorite against Oklahoma State. What's the bet you like here, dude?
So Baylor is certainly fighting through adversity. They're losing players all over the place, but they have a couple of key guys that I think do have a chance to come back in this game. And if they get them back, I don't think this spread stays at this number. I think Baylor is going to take a lot of money. I know they're on the road. Stillwater's a very difficult place to play. I'm going to go with Baylor, though. Oklahoma State really has trouble scoring. I think that comes into play here. It could be ugly, but Baylor pulls away late in this one, covers the number.
All right, underdog, by the way, has cashed in 4 of the past 5 meetings, in this series as well. Interesting trend. UCLA, double-digit home favorite against Arizona State, 13.5 point spread. 131.5 point total. Looking for the road dog to cover here, Ben, or UCLA just too much for the Sun Devils?
UCLA should be angry. The first time they played, it was an absolutely wild game. But Arizona State's gotten a lot better. They had a terrible start to the season. They're on a little bit of a run here. I don't think they can beat UCLA. But again, I think this stays close. I actually like the over in the game. Both teams are playing pretty efficient offense right now. Not overwhelming tempo, but I think they'll score enough. Arizona State's defense keeps them in the game. Not enough to win by any stretch, but when you're getting, 13.5, just keep it in contact. I think the Sun Devils do that tonight.
Yeah, UCLA though, could really use some wins here, kind of propel them that higher seed in the conference tournament, even the NCAA tournament. Let's move to some conference futures here, speaking of that. So in the ACC here, dude, Duke, the overwhelming favorite, minus 1,000. That may be a little too juicy for you. So how about like Miami here, sitting at plus 5,000? Hurricanes have knocked off Duke already this year. Whose odds do you like right now in this conference?
Yeah, it's a little tricky this time of the year because, as you just talked about, you're going to have some massive favorites because some of these teams are a couple games clear. The team I like in the ACC, they're not going to win the ACC, but I will say that Wake Forest is a team to keep an eye on.
Ooh.
They're playing really good basketball, 11-6 in conference. If they have a strong conference tourney, this is a name that you might be penciling in when you're filling out your brackets.
Cool, I like that. What about one of the closer battles is in the A10? Davidson, minus 180, VCU, plus 260, Dayton at plus 425. Is it between the 3 of them, or can someone else pull through the A10? Well, my wife would love to hear you say St. Bonaventure right now.
I do. I mean, I'll tell you who's not pulling through is UMass, so you could get them out of here.
Okay.
St. Bonaventure's an awesome team. I don't think they can win the conference, but another dangerous squad. I'm going to have to go with Davidson, 12-2 in the conference, elite 3-point shooting, really balanced, super strong at home, 11-1. They only have 4 losses on the year. So it's a pretty deep, I hope this is a multi-bid league, and I think it will be because I want to see VCU, I want to see St. Bonaventure. Those are teams that can absolutely play and could be a dangerous team come March.
Yeah, cool. And I think if you would have purchased Davidson earlier in the season, you got some great value on them as well if they can pull through here. Crowded here at the top of the Big 12 standings. So Kansas, the favorite at minus 550. We got Texas Tech. There's Baylor, who we talked about, plus 600. And then at plus 700. Worth a shot there on Texas Tech? What do you think, Ben? And Baylor, or is this one Kansas is all the way?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas always seems to find a way, and they are a very good team. There's no doubt. I'll give some credit, though, to Texas Tech in particular. The way they play defense, I just watched them on Saturday against Texas. It's just absolutely smothering defense. They're undefeated at home. extremely difficult team to play against. So again, it's Kansas's league to lose. They're going to be there, but I would love to see these teams match up again in the conference tourney. Texas Tech has everything that you want as a team. I don't think they can overtake Kansas, and that's why the line's the way it is. But what a strong Big 12 conference we have this year.
Yeah, seriously. So I'm looking at the fun fact here. So by winning out and Kansas losing 2 of its last 5 games, like Texas Tech and Kansas would be tied for first place, and the result, Texas Tech sweep of Baylor and then a split with Kansas, they'd hold the tiebreaker over those 2, over Baylor and Kansas.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look at little edges like that because we don't have that many games left. There's no way these teams control their own destiny. So you need some help. But if you do have the tiebreaker and you do think that maybe there's a slip up, that's where some of these long shot values could come to fruition.
For sure. How about out in the Pac-12, dude? Arizona, the top team in the conference. If someone has a shot to pull off the upset, who are you looking at?
Yeah, so Arizona, they're going to could be a 1 seed, probably going to be a 1 seed at this point. I want to say UCLA, but I'm actually going to say USC. They sleepwalk at times, but at the end of the day, they're 12-4 in conference, 23-4 for the season. They've got some talent, certainly not Evan Mobley anymore, but they still have other Mobleys that are quite good. Arizona is the best team in the Pac-12. There's no doubt about it. But again, when you link up and they may win the regular season, which is what we're talking about a little, but conference tournaments, there are other dangerous teams in this league, and USC certainly towards the top.
All right, dude. In the SEC, Auburn minus 600, but Kentucky is at plus 800 there, despite sitting. I believe they're just like 1 spot apart, right?
Yeah.
In the coaches poll. So who's your pick here in the SEC? Or should they be that heavily favored?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So a lot of these, I think it's probably warranted, and Auburn definitely should be favored here, no doubt about it. But I'd keep an eye on this because Kentucky is on their heels, and Auburn has shown extremely, like most teams, extremely good at home, haven't been beaten there, and I don't think anyone can beat them there. But on the road, they're more than vulnerable. They just lost to Florida on the road. We saw Arkansas take them down on the road, and Kentucky's no different. But, you check out that schedule and you see that Auburn could have some tricky games to end the season, and when they link up again in the conference tournament, definitely going to be, of course, neutral venues. You could see them slip up a couple times to close the year. I don't think it's crazy to think that Kentucky or Arkansas makes a move here.
Yeah, and Kentucky was like rolling there for a while. I think there was a stretch they went 10 of 11 games, and that only loss was to Auburn. These 2 teams have just been colliding, and they hate each other quite a bit.
Yeah, Kentucky's got to get over. They're a little banged up. Ty Washington and a couple other guys. If they can get everyone, and some of them are playing through, dangerous team, no doubt.
Big East, let's go there now. Providence needing overtime to knock off Butler yesterday. That was a sweat. They're the top seed right now, though. But as of the moment, Villanova is the favorite for the conference at minus 190. There we go. We got the numbers up on the screen. The Friars in at plus 115. Hello, UConn, plus 15,000. What's the bet in the Big East?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I do think, this is why the line's the way it is. Villanova, another team that had to get over a couple injuries here and there, but they're starting to round into form. 14-3 in the conference. Providence is a good team. There's no doubt Watson's a problem in that front court. They found a way they were down a lot of points to Butler yesterday, and they did get that key win. I still think Nova's won 5 straight, hitting their stride at the right time. Jay Wright knows what he's doing. Villanova once again, Big East champs.
Yeah, Ed Cooley though, you gotta agree, is right, and he's got to be the favorite for Coach of the Year right now, or at least one of them up there.
Yeah, they're great. Providence has had an outstanding year. There's no doubt about it. Another dangerous team come tourney time.
Lots of drama in the Big Ten, dude, after the Michigan-Wisconsin game. What did you think about that, by the way, yesterday with Juwan Howard kind of slapping? He didn't kind of. No, he actually did slap a Wisconsin assistant coach, getting into it like with the head coach as well.
Yeah, I mean, what I thought about it is I was in the zone to root on Joaquin Neiman, and I turned on the TV, and there was a melee in the Wisconsin game. So obviously he's in big trouble. You can't do that.
No, you can't.
It's been a rough year for Ann Arbor Wolverine backers.
Well, Jeff Ulrich will be happy to know that you were sitting there, sweating out some golf picks with him. But yes, let's stick to the Big Ten here really quick. Who do you like right now to win the conference heading down the stretch? Because Purdue minus 320 right now as the favorite with Wisconsin at plus 300.
Yeah, Purdue has so much talent. When they look when they play their best, to me, I think they might be the actual best team. And we kind of saw it yesterday against Rutgers. When Ivy gets going, they've got the 7'5" guy. They have other bigs. I don't love the personnel usage, but I'm not going to go away from Purdue. They're unbeatable at home, basically. I think it's theirs to lose.
All right, before you get out of here, Mr. Rassa, we all know we got a ways to go. A lot can happen between now and whenever the hell March Madness will end. But any team rounding into form right now, you see the odds and you're like, oh, those are still a little long, either to win it all or make the Final Four, and maybe consider, sprinkling a little bit of goodness on them.
So I'll say this. I do think, and Purdue's no dark horse. They're a team that I think is extremely dangerous if they get around. But a team down the way that Alabama plays is just extremely high variance. They take so many threes, and honestly, they don't make a ton of them. But if they get on a stretch during the tournament where they're starting to make them and Shackelford is leading them, I wouldn't want to play them. We saw what they did last year, different personnel. But a team like Alabama, extremely dangerous if they're in your bracket just because of the way they play. They need a strong end to the season. If they get that, could be dangerous come March.
Ben Rassa, I mean it when I say it. It is always a pleasure having you on and talking sports with you, dude. So have a great rest of your day, man.
Right back at you, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right, adios. We'll see which golfers Jeff is chasing and which one he is fading ahead of this week's Honda Classic right after this boring quick break. I lost $20 to Jeff Ulrich this weekend because Cam Smith cannot hit a fairway, more specifically the 12th fairway there at the Genesis. The Super Golf League appears to be crumbling, and Joaquin Niemann goes wire to wire at the Genesis. Hey, shout out to Reed T. Fowler, right? Was he one of your picks, Jeff?
Was Reed T. Fowler one of my picks?
No, it was Niemann.
I didn't roster Reed this day. No, sorry.
Okay, well, Reed T. Fowler nailed it.
Look. Let's give him a little applause. Reed made a great call. Obviously, Joaquin Niemann, some great value. We both touched on him. We both suggested that was the play in this range. Reed, it was officially on the card for Reed. He gets the W for sure. That dude's on fire. I think he's had a couple playoff losers. He's lost his mind a couple times, but good to see him cash in.
Look, dude.
Niemann. Congrats to anyone who did cash in. It was a great number last week on Niemann. I mean, this is a player who, you watch his game. It's got a little bit of similarities to Colin Morikawa, in my opinion. I think you're going to see Niemann pop up at a major just like Morikawa has over the last couple of years. Eventually, maybe not right away.
I mean, bro, your picks have been hitting a lot this season as well. I even tweeted out a compliment to you and Reed. Reed retweeted it, but you didn't. Instead, you replied and said you're a NASCAR guy now. So we'll get into that a little later. The PGA Tour does take its talents down to PGA National this week for Happy Honda Days. It is the Honda Classic. Niemann plus 1,800 to go back-to-back. You chasing those odds or no? That was just a second professional win on the PGA Tour.
I mean, this field is weak. This is a lot weaker field than I thought we were going to get. I mean, we are the highest-ranked player is Louie Ustasen, which is great. If you're me, I guess, we can celebrate that. But it doesn't really do much for the overall, appealability of this field. Niemann at plus 1,800, he's probably the real high-end young player quality guy you want to target in this field. I mean, we saw what he can do when the irons get hot, when he's accurate around the green. It is a lot to ask for a player to go back-to-back, but I mean, Scotty Scheffler last week, he was in the mix. I mean, Joaquin Niemann, I kind of expect him to be in the mix this week. Plus 1,800, I'm probably not going to go there, but maybe plus 200 for a top 10 finish or something. I do think you want to get a piece of Joaquin Niemann, whether it's in DFS, betting, or what else. Right now, I'd be leaning towards more of just a top 10 play because I think Niemann is playing really well, and I think you're going to see at least some continuation. But realistically, that plus 1,800 number, it doesn't look too bad, especially when you got guys like Sungjae at plus 1,000.
Yeah, those are the fourth best odds in this tournament this week, plus 1,800. And I'm glad you mentioned the field. Like, I used to work down there. That was this used to be one of the strongest fields on tour every season because these guys live like 20 minutes away. They're all like on Jupiter Island and down there in Palm Beach County. It is kind of sad. A lot of it was based off, is Tiger Woods going to play, which he's obviously not right now. But Matt Jones, he won this last year, Jeff. Some of the top players, like we already mentioned it, taking the week off, not the strongest field in the world. But how much do you like his odds to repeat? Plus 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like his odds very much. Matt Jones was way bigger in the odds last year when he shipped this event. And Jones is like a streaky player. I mean, he's good. Like, he's quality. He comes through. He's grabbed a couple PGA wins now, but relying on Matt Jones to like potentially repeat here, or just relying on Matt Jones like as a week-to-week thing is going to get you in a lot of trouble, especially at these prices. I mean, that's the thing. Matt Jones is 200 to 1. Sure, we'll take a shot on him if he's looking good, but he really hasn't looked that good on the West Coast. I mean, last year he was coming in off a top 10 at the Genesis. He hasn't done anything close to that. Maybe shown a couple decent rounds here, but again, it's just apples to oranges here. This isn't the same Matt Jones that was coming in last year that was starting to show some progressive form and kind of caught a weaker field off guard. This is just a sort of a more of a journeyman player who's, going through a little bit of a funk right now, maybe hasn't hit top gear, and he's certainly got it in him to win more events. I mean, again, I'm not trying to talk down Matt Jones as a player, but it's a player you want to take shots with when he's triple digits, and he's not triple digits this week. And, there's just better players in this range that we're going to get to that are way better value this week. So Matt Jones is pretty much just a no-go for me. Again, nothing against Mac Jones, but we'll talk about him when he gets back to like the plus 150 range, which is, traditionally when he's paid off for people.
All right, just moments ago you mentioned Sungjae being the favorite at plus 1,000. So
Yeah.
you're going to chase him at these odds or just going to turn the page and pass?
I think you kind of just have to turn the page and pass. I mean, plus 1,000 for Sungjae, like it's I guess when you look at it in terms of the strength of field, it's not that bad. You've got a defending champion. You've got a player who's really like looked good. I mean, he was top 10 at the Farmers, a really tough event. He's looked fine for the most part in a lot of his starts, but I mean, it just, again, much like Matt Jones, you don't really want to be betting Sungjae at plus 1,000. I mean, sure, when he pops up into the plus 2,500 or plus 4,000 range, yes, you should be getting on him. This is a player who's capable of beating more elite fields, and he's already grabbed 2 PGA wins. Obviously, defending champion here, but you have to think about what's going into these odds. Part of the reason why Sungjae is plus 1,000, and a couple of the other players who are actually ranked higher than him in the world golf rankings are like plus 1,800. It's Sungjae's a past champion, and yes, that's good course experience, but you're not getting any discounts on Sungjae M odds this week. I mean, plus 1,000 is a really steep price to play for a player who, comes close a lot, but just doesn't have like the win rate of like the Morikawas or the Justin Thomas yet. So Sungjae is just a player I'm pretty much just going to be out on at these odds. If he wins and kind of clears the board, that's fine, but I'm not going to miss it too much because these odds just aren't big enough to take a shot with him this week for me.
Yeah, he won this tournament back in 2020. That was like a week or two before the entire world shut down, and we were like, see you in 2 weeks, and now we're 2 years later, we're still in it. Brooks Koepka, he's a local guy who is deciding to play in this tournament. His odds still reflecting, though, his recent form, plus 2,200 to win. Chase or fade here, dude, because I believe you said like last week, when his odds are like this long, you tend to bet him, right?
I mean, I think this is a really good bet this week for Brooks. I didn't go so as far to back him last week, but I did suggest like if Brooks stays at these odds for too much longer, like you're going to want to start betting him in certain spots, and it's all about strength of field. Plus 2,200, it's shorter odds than we saw last week, and yes, he missed the cut again last week. But his record at the Genesis kind of stinks anyways. I mean, it's not like that's been a great stop for him, even though like it kind of should be. But the Honda is kind of a place where it has been kind of nice to Brooks. He's had some big rounds there. Again, he's a dude who's from Florida, so I think he just feels more comfortable at this. And it's not what you call a U.S. Open setting, but it's very tough scoring. And tough scoring venues is typically where Brooks Koepka has done his best. He's probably not really at home in like an event where you got to get to 25 under. But if the winning score is like -9 or even like -12, I mean, Brooks Koepka can pop up with those in those type of starts. And Again, I mean, this is a player who's one event removed, Emerson, from a T3 finish at the Phoenix.
Yep.
And I remind people, like, Bermuda Greens, there's more similarities with Phoenix and Honda than there is any of the other courses we've seen. So, yeah, plus 2,200. Again, you've got guys like Fleetwood, Billy Horschel. Sanjay is like less than double more than double the odds. Brooks Koepka is more than double the odds of Sanjay Im this week. I mean, I think that's kind of all you need to know as an advertisement for Brooks Koepka. I do like these plus 2,200 odds, and probably my favorite bet kind of in that top group of players.
Yeah, he and Berger, two guys who went to high school like within 20 minutes of this course, and both of them actually withdrew from this tournament last year because of injury, but they are the class this year. And yeah, Koepka, that final round out in Phoenix, I mean, if it wasn't for some bad driving, probably would have sealed the deal there, but it ended up leading to a miscut this past weekend in Riviera. Hey, let's go Tommy Fleetwood, dude. Plus 1,400. Second best odds to win. Am I missing something here? Dude doesn't even have a tour card, has never won on the PGA Tour. How are you feeling about these odds?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like would have liked to bet Tommy Fleetwood this week. I mean, he's finished really well at this event. This has been an event where we've seen a lot of foreign players do well. I mean, Matt Jones last year, but we've seen a lot of English dudes pop up at this event. They all have homes close to here too, like you mentioned, and they like to come over here and kind of get their season started. And you know, Fleetwood is a guy who's much like Brooks Koepka. He's just more at home in these tougher scoring venues where it's a little bit more of a U.S. Open style. But plus 1,400 for Tommy Fleetwood, man, in any PGA event. I think you're just sort of lighting good money after bad. I know that he's been okay, like overseas. You know, his last start produced a T8. He had a T12 before that, but I really dislike backing guys who are just coming over from Europe for their first start, even experienced guys like Fleetwood. Like if it was plus 3,000, sure, absolutely. I'll take a shot with him because his odds are a little bit bigger probably than they should be. But at plus 1,400, we're getting the exact opposite story. And you're kind of seeing a theme here too. The players with good course history,
yes,
you're not getting discounts on them this week. Fleetwood's got multiple top fives. Sanjay's a past champion, you know. Matt Jones, we just talked about. He's probably like 100 to 1. All these guys with great course histories, past champs, guys who have top five recently, you're going to have to pay up for it. And I just don't have enough confidence in Tommy Fleetwood this week coming in off the European swing to bet him at plus 1,400.
Yeah.
I do like his chances, but again, you got to think in terms of, am I getting like the best number I should be here? And I don't think you are with Fleetwood.
No, and he had that T12 in Dubai, which is prone to win, and win can be an absolute you-know-what on the back nine of at PGA National, especially the bear trap, that 15, 16, 17, like Wynn will just like swallow you up there. So maybe that just tends to be a strength of his.
He's a great links player too. I mean, I think you see a lot of links players do well at this event. Fleetwood is certainly one of them, but I mentioned guys like Paul Casey been in the mix here too. Rory is another guy who's had a lot of success at the Honda when he used to show up here. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a theme, but man, I just wish those odds were bigger because as a player, I'd like to bet this week. But
all right, Louie Ustasen, we know you'll probably have a few bucks on him. Easy to like him in general, but really impossible to like him to win on American soil. Finally, though, quite possibly getting the respect he deserves, plus 1,600 odds to win it this week. Go ahead, tell me why he's going to make a run.
Look, Usti is, if anything, he's actually getting a little bit disrespected here because he is the top-ranked player in terms of the official world golf rankings. So if you're looking at these top five players, I mean, I think Berger at plus 1,800 is also like a bit of a crazy number just compared to Sanjay. But Berger is also dealing with some injury stuff, and he's looked kind of terrible like in his last kind of start, right? So Usti coming off a really solid T14, his first start of the year at Phoenix. I think there's a good argument to make, like, you know, at least him and Fleetwood should be flipped in odds. I mean, he's played the Honda a couple times. Yeah, he doesn't have that top five, but you're probably getting better value on him than, say, like a Billy Horschel or a Tommy Fleetwood this week. That doesn't mean I necessarily want to go out and gravitate towards him. I mean, this is only his second start of the year. I do think he's again trying to sort of, you know, propel himself into this big run that's coming up with the players, some match play, and then the Masters. So probably just another warm-up start for Usti. Top 20 odds, top 10. Yeah, absolutely. You could take a look there, but I wish he was at plus 2 or like plus 2,200 with like the Koepkas and Lowrys this week, because I think Usti is definitely going to pop up soon and make a run at an actual win. But I don't know, man. Like plus 1,600 might just not be enough this week. So yeah, I'll probably still have some money on him, like you mentioned, but not a player I'm going to recommend here. Unfortunately.
There it is. All that, and you're like, yeah,
I'll bet him. But
I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on him.
I'll force myself. It'll just be like, So, anyways.
Hey, Patrick Reed. He always has a shot to get hot, right? For a weekend, plus 6,000 odds. I don't know. Does that make you salivate at all?
I mean, it's like eventually Reed is going to turn things around. I mean, it just will happen. He'll gain 9 strokes putting. I don't know if he'll win, but he'll get in the mix, and everyone will be like, wow, why didn't I bet Patrick Reed at these odds? And I mean, in this type of field with seeing Patrick Reed at plus 6,000, it's pretty crazy, man. Like it's kind of jarring, to be honest, to see him down there. He has looked really poorly in just like all facets of his game. But we are making a swing. Like we're going from the West Coast to Florida. This is when guys can turn it around. I mean, we've seen players come in here off a couple missed cuts. Keith Mitchell did it a couple of years ago. 2 missed cuts, and he just shipped it and he won. And I mean, this one's wide open. It's a grinded out style of event. We've seen Patrick Reed win in Florida before at the Doral. Really tough conditions there. We know we're going to get tough conditions because it's always tough conditions at PGA Nationals. So I would not put it. I would not disparage anyone trying to bet Patrick Reed at this number this week. At the very least, he should be around plus 5,000 in my opinion, just because of his like career long pedigree. Now, if you're asking me my favorite plays from this range, I mean, I like going down to Russell Knox, who is where is Russell Knox? I've lost Russell Knox, but I like Russell Knox this week. He's somewhere in the odds. Chris Kirk at plus 7,000. I like as well. Russell Knox is plus 6,500.
Yep.
He's actually bigger than Patrick Reed. I thought he was going to be shorter in odds than Reed, but Russell Knox at plus 6,500. I think is a great target. He's got a great record at this event. He's been gaining massive strokes on his approach. If he just has like a decent week around the greens, Russell Knox can certainly knock out a win here. And Chris Kirk, similar style of game. He's got a long history at the Honda. It's a good venue for Chris Kirk. He picked it up in his last start too. So 2 guys who played well in a couple starts to start the year. Chris Kirk and Russell Knox plus 6,500 and plus 7. Those are the guys I really like in this range.
All right, producer Drew says we have to wrap because on the other side of this break, you have to rest up. In 1 minute, we're going to bring in Pierce to revisit your NBA and NASCAR picks from last week, and this is going to be epic. So please stick around. Last week, everybody, I know you remember this. We brought you a historic episode of The Sweat, one of the best and biggest and brightest episodes in this show's short, young history. Jeff Ulrich making NBA and NASCAR picks. Pierce Dietrich was there, judging him very hard. We all were. Now let's revisit. Yeah, that's right, Pierce. Let's revisit how everything played out and see if Jeff has a future in this business. So let's start with the victory. You correctly picked Cade Cunningham to take home the Rising Stars MVP. Were you taking your victory lap like around your living room?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I told you, Cade Cunningham, a Detroit Piston. What does this dude have to play for? The regular season's over. I mean, there's nothing to play for there. This was his NBA Finals, Emerson, and I spelled it out. I mean, Pistons without Cade Cunningham this year have been terrible. So, I mean, this one was pretty simple. Nobody listened to me. I think Darian picked I don't know, some other like LaMelo Ball or something. I don't know who he picked, but obviously, we'll be letting Darian go from his NBA duties soon, and I can replace him. So, this one was easy.
More work for you, dude. I mean, Pierce, it takes a lot of courage to pick this year's #1 draft pick to win the Rising Stars MVP.
Well, I should give him some credit, or maybe actually subtly say it's a terrible pick. But Cade Cunningham's terrible this season. He's missed a quarter of the games for the Pistons. He's shooting below 40% from the field. 32% from three, 16 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And he's playing a ton of minutes, and he's on a Pistons team that's terrible, and that's the best that he can do. He's a bad player. I'm really surprised that he was able to perform. Like, he's not even close to being the best rookie this year.
Is he going to retire next year with Odell?
I know. I was waiting on that.
Is Cunningham out? Pierce, give us the lowdown. Is he done?
Cade Cunningham has not been good. Anyone who's watching these games, no, Josh Giddey's been a better rookie. Evan Mobley's been a better rookie. Davion Mitchell is going to be a better rookie when he starts to get more playing time. Maybe, I guess what it shows is if you put Cade Cunningham on a halfway decent team, he can score some points.
Dude,
check out the Pistons record without Cade Cunningham, pal, then get back to me, okay?
What is the record
You're
with Cade Cunningham, by the
without him
way?
or something.
They're
Pierce,
the worst team in the league with him.
Pierce, you hate everybody. Like, you hate.
Absolutely, he does, except Brad
like you.
Keselowski.
Kind of like Jeff.
Oh, thanks. I love, dude, last week, like, Jeff and I were even side texting, and he's like, I wonder which, like, relatively good player Pierce is going to hate today. And today it was Cade Cunningham. Jeff, you picked the 4th place finisher in the 3-point contest and 3rd place finisher in the dunk contest, but you were extremely rude to me and so dismissive of Karl Anthony Towns when I mentioned, hey, he's a good bet. He can be the poster child for, like, big men, kind of adapting to the modern game. Please apologize to me.
I don't know what happened here. The rest of the dudes in this competition soiled their pants. How can you let Karl Anthony Towns win the 3-point contest? I mean, look, this one's from out of nowhere. I'm still in shock that this happened. But, I mean, kudos to him. If anything, it shows how athletic Cat is. I mean, I think we all kind of knew that. But this was an impressive performance. I'll give it to him. I was super dismissive of this. I didn't think he had a shot in heck of even coming in like the top 2 or anything like that. It was only a 6-man competition, but it just shows you the wild open nature of these NBA competitions. Karl Anthony Towns, I guess when there's nobody there to block him and he's got all the time in the world, is a great 3-point shooter. So I apologize, Karl Anthony Towns and Minnesota Timberwolves fans. I was wrong. You should have bet him. He was great odds too. He was the longest shot. So I missed this one. I screwed up. I admit it.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. Meanwhile, I'm just making people like money left and right when it comes to 3-point contest at Karl Anthony Towns. Is when he did say he got a tip from Steph Curry, which leads me to my next question. You did pick Team LeBron, so kudos there, but we did overlook Curry on Friday. Since you're the NBA expert on this panel, was his 50 points last night like the best All-Star game performance you've ever seen, Jeff?
Yeah, I really wanted to throw out the Steph Curry option so badly. You just know that. I mean, what is the All-Star game made for? It's made for dudes just chucking threes from all facets of the court. There's only one player who's like legitimately the best at that, and that's Steph Curry. So I think both Gary and I kind of mentioned him offhandedly. Oh, this could be a hot night for Steph Curry, but neither of us really got behind the pick, and that was obviously a mistake. So, I mean, when you're picking apart these All-Star games, it's an impossible thing to do. Obviously, I tried to go with sort of the Team Durant version of Steph Curry and Trae Young. He had a nice game. I think he was like the 5th best fantasy scorer, so I'll give myself some kudos there. But yeah, I mean, this was if it wasn't the best All-Star game performance, it's definitely like a top 5. It was pretty cool to see, and I know Steph does a bunch of charity work. They had a bunch of charity things going on. So again, we should have been diving deeper into the narratives, which is what you want to do. There was a big sort of charity narrative there with Steph Curry, and he obviously came through like he always does. So.
I mean, that was like insane last night, Pierce. I think he had 8 at halftime, then came out in the 3rd and made like 7 straight just to shatter records.
You didn't really need to look at the narratives. You just look at last year's game, and he chucked up a bunch of threes and was going to be the MVP in that game if Giannis wasn't perfect from the field. So, yeah, I would imagine that Steph Curry in practice nails a bunch of threes, and that's basically what this game is, a bunch of wide-open threes. Of course he was going to make those. The narrative I followed was LeBron in Cleveland, and it happened. LeBron played more minutes than anyone. Yep. LeBron took more shots than anyone, but he also missed more shots than anyone. So the narrative worked. LeBron just couldn't get it done on his part. And, hey, how come I don't get to talk about the dunk contest? Why did I get skipped there?
Oh, go ahead. Do you want to mention something? I mean, I'm just trying to keep the flow up here because now we have 5 minutes left in the show, and now you're already wasting time. Do you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, not real quick. I want to use my platform to say that we need a standardized scoring system in the dunk contest. I know people scoff, oh, you can't do a standardized scoring system in the dunk contest. Yes, you can. A game without rules is not a game. That's why it's a disaster. Guess what? The Olympics has had standardized scoring systems for technique and moves for thousands of years, and it's worked out well for ice skating and for gymnastics.
What? Nobody
the viewers
watches
know
it.
how to evaluate the moves and know how to rate the moves when you have a standardized scoring system. If it was freestyle for skating, you would have people falling down on the ice for 3 hours, or gymnasts constantly trying to do the biggest, best move ever and constantly falling down over and over and over, like we get in the dunk contest. But they know that they're going to be penalized for falling down or making poor moves. And so they have adjusted, and we as viewers have adjusted. They need a standardized scoring system. Make it happen.
That was the worst dunk contest ever on Saturday
It was
night.
terrible. Like, it doesn't even deserve to be talked about, if we're being honest. I mean, I tuned in for that specifically because, I was doing my research. But that was really bad. I mean, I hate to say it, but Pierce is right. Like, they need to do something.
Shut it down, or at least, like, Pierce, they need to find some way to get the biggest.
They don't need to shut it down. It's a great event.
No, it's not.
System.
It's become a terrible event unless they get the biggest names to somehow commit.
Okay, it could be a great
Yes,
event.
yes. Sorry. Anyway.
Scoring system.
Okay, no, whatever. And your comparison to the Olympics is terrible. The Olympics are just absolutely terrible, and everyone's doping. Nope, got to go to the track. Pierce, give us a top 10 finisher. You did. You gave us a top 10 finisher in the Next Era Energy 250 truck race. Whew. Jesse Little came in 6th. Dude had plus 20,000 odds to win. Jeff threw a little dart at Colby Howard, who crashed and finished 30th. Pierce, you mentioned probably 10 trucks would finish on the lead lap, and only 19 of the 36 did. So any credit here to Jeff, though, for basically passing on this race?
No, this is definitely a place you wanted to attack. I mean, look, there is no other sporting event where you can take a long shot and have a legitimate chance with doing very little research at all. I mean, Jeff takes long shots in golf all the time. He does all this hard work. He knows what it means. Well, guess what? When you get a chance where you don't have to work very hard and take a long shot and have a chance of winning, why would you pass up on that opportunity?
Jeffrey?
I mean, Pierce is trying to suck me into this truck racing stuff, and honestly, it might work. I'm probably going to go look at the odds soon after this. So, yeah, I mean, if there's that much chaos, look, he's right. If there's that much chaos in an event like this, and there's players down there like plus 1,000 or plus 10,000, excuse me, you should be giving it a look. It's much like golf when we see, there's always a 3 or 4 plus 20,000 winners. So. It sounds like a chaotic sport. I'm definitely going to be giving this a bigger look next week, but unfortunately, like, my guy just,
Yeah, it's all good. The Beef That's What's for Dinner 300 winner, Austin Hill, was called out by our NASCAR Xfinity Series expert,
That's
Pierce Steestra. I'm telling you, Pierce is the man when he's being nice to us. Jeff, what did you learn from Pierce steering people in the right direction?
Well, I mean, look, this is what Pierce does. All he used to do is, like, post videos of himself driving cars on his Twitter. That used to be his entire Twitter feed, so I'm not shocked at this at all. We need to get Pierce more on for these little events because, look, they're all available on the DraftKings Sportsbook. They're all available at bigger odds. I mean, we're coming into season where there's no NFL. The NBA and the NHL are going to be winding down here. You got to get on this stuff. You got to give Pierce a follow. I know he posts a lot of like smart books and stuff.
I know.
You get on him for these Xfinity picks. I'm going to be doing some research and going to try and one-up them, though, next week for sure.
Yeah, it takes a lot for me to feel dumb, and I definitely feel dumb when I look at the books that he's reading. We're going to excuse Jeff Pierce from the Truck and Xfinity Series because he really focuses on the Cup Series.
Right.
Pierce, your pick was Brad Keselowski, finished 9th. Jeff's pick, Chase Elliott, finishing 10th, but Jeff also accurately selecting Bubba Wallace to finish 2nd. I believe you went top 5. Adamantly faded Denny Hamlin. Pierce, how do you rate Jeff's Daytona analysis?
Good. I think Jeff can do this. And I'm not just saying that. So the thing is, there are some weird parallels between DFS NASCAR and DFS golf. And we know Jeff's the golf expert. But if you look at it, in fantasy golf, you're looking at courses, then you're looking at specific players and specific styles that do well at those courses. It's the same thing in NASCAR. You look at specific tracks and certain drivers with certain styles do well. So he basically has the fundamentals. Also in golf, one of the stats they're always citing is current form. It's the same thing in NASCAR. People who've been running well lately tend to continue that trend. So he's got the fundamentals. He just needs to learn the names and specific stats.
Jeff learning names, that'll never happen.
I
Jeff,
need to know what a plate race is, too, eventually.
I got him.
Can we just talk about Bubba Wallace for a second?
Well,
Emerson? This dude, I am crowning him the Louie Ustasen of NASCAR. He's got about 6 top 5 finishes. I think he's finished 2nd at Daytona like twice now.
Yeah.
This dude loves to finish runner-up. He's my new favorite driver.
Listen,
Absolutely, Bubba Wallace. I'm going to be betting him into the sun until he wins, which will probably come in 2030. So.
All right, I have to go quick on this last one. Pierce, we'll get your pick later in the week for the Auto Club 400, but let's help Jeff and the people out there a little for their research this week. Any trends you've noticed at the Auto Club Speedway recently to keep an eye on? Quickly.
Kyle Larson, this track suits his style. He finished second in his first ever race here, finished first in 2017. It's basically a giant dirt track. This is the best equipment he will have ever had at this track. It's going to be Kyle Larson, Larson.
Jeff,
it sounds like Pierce. From what I've done research, there's like less crashes here, and it feels like the favorites do better here. I mean, Kyle Busch, it looks like he led for like the entire race a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Alex Bowman led for 110 laps. Am I wrong in thinking that?
It's a lap turner, yes.
All right.
Very boring.
wow.
Okay.
Dude, that's just straight fire. I'm not kidding you, producer Drew. We got to get these two together talking NASCAR like every week. So maybe we'll do it like Friday. I don't really know. We got to go. We're out of time. And I just got the notification alert that Jeff, my dog's Christmas gift from you, will be arriving tomorrow. I cannot wait for that. What a day. Let's have ourselves a week, folks. Thanks for watching.